school. I went once last year.
We're,
It's okay, it just starts recording. They said that.
we still have a few more minutes.
And they have a Veterans Day where all the grandparents or parents that were in the service come, and then all the kids go out in front and
Oh, that's nice.
introduce themselves. The kids have a little some treats afterwards.
Is this in Texas?
No, that's down. It's in Manchester.
Oh, Manchester does that?
My granddaughter goes to Manchester school there, and they had it last year. And my son invited me to this year.
Oh, good.
7th, I think it is.
Now, were you in the service?
Navy.
I was in the Air Force.
We got one on the water and one in the sky. That's pretty good.
Now we just need one on the ground.
Who's in the ground?
I always end up telling people when I went to basic training, I had physical condition in 8 weeks, 3 times. And you know why?
Jim Phelps.
It was too hot.
Really?
Well,
Where was it, down south?
What's that?
San Antonio,
Yukon,
Texas.
yeah.
Well,
You know, during the summer.
That's
Yeah,
where
that
that's where
explains
I
it.
enlisted, San Antonio.
San Antonio. I actually saw the Alamo.
I have some
I was totally
Smarties,
disappointed.
Dum-Dums and Smarties.
Isn't it funny?
Oh,
Yes.
It's not what you
I
anticipate.
was totally disappointed. You know,
I love the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk was
Oh, it's
good.
gorgeous, especially
Yeah,
today.
and
It's
you
really
know,
changed.
when I was down there in '63, the Riverwalk wasn't there yet.
They hadn't finished it yet.
No, they hadn't done it yet, but I know some people who have gone down, they say it's great.
It is. It's beautiful. It's done there twice.
Here's Seb singing, so I say,
Oh, Seb's on.
loud to talk,
Can you hear us, Sebby?
and
Sebby?
Yeah,
Can you hear us?
yes, I can.
Okey
we'll
doke.
promote you to panelist if you want to. You accept or something.
What is it, too dark outside for you?
Don't know the way?
And there's the World Series.
There tonight.
As a panelist, good. I'll do a little one for you.
Yeah, he said he might come on later.
Okay. Call this meeting to order.
Hang on. Okay, sorry.
Call this meeting to order. No audience and citizens. Approval for the minutes of September 23rd, 2025. Do I get a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of September 23rd, 2025.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay. Business.
Okay, I'm going to try to go through this fairly quickly because it's not necessary to know all the details, but it's useful to know what's going on. The New Britain, there's a New Britain KFD WFT diversion permit request. Actually, 2 diversion permits. One from New Britain to Kensington and one from Kensington to to Worthington. The whole theory here is that they would continue to get water from their connection on the Farmington Avenue, right at Baxter Avenue. Baxter Avenue, Farmington Avenue there has a little meter pit, and basically that's what they would go. Now, the diversion permitted process is through DEEP. I filed a petition. Not everybody knows this because we were looking for signatures during the last town council meeting, and the mayor and quite a few of the actual town council members signed off on it. I delivered the petition October 9th, and so as a result of that, that's created a whole bunch of issues. So there's a pre-conference meeting coming up on November 3rd, which is next Monday at 10:30. It's odd to me because there's a new law in place, 25-84, section 4, which talks about how a hearing should proceed. So all I want is an opportunity to express ourselves because what's purported, and these are the two applications that would go forward. There's missing a lot of information here and a lot of misinformation here, as I see it. And we need to express our concerns about this. This implies that there's no concerns on our part. And as you know, basically the utility, in this case, Worthington and Kensington, have indicated that they don't see any problems with it, but obviously we do. And it's simply because of the system, Worthington is right in the middle of our entire distribution system. And I'll show you something that I thought was interesting. Maybe I have it, maybe I don't. Oh, there it is. They were very clever. I think they were clever anyway. This is the map they submitted to DEEP, which is interesting because, of course, it shows the connections to New Britain, getting water to Kensington, and from Kensington, it's very simplistically down to Worthington. What they ignored to show is that how they implement this. The implementation of this particular supply to Worthington is covered in the excess sale of water permit to the Department of Public Health. And what they anticipate doing is opening this, and this hasn't been open since 1992, by the way. And so what they want to do is open this one up and close off all the metered connections that we have.
How big is that pipe?
I think it's 10 inches.
10 inches.
And then basically the 10 metered sites, plus there's about 5 valved off sites. So if you look at it, it's basically a huge hole in our system. And so they don't think it's going to be an impact. I do think so. Right now, they have existing conditions where I know that they have problematic public safety issues with fire hydrants. Actually, both systems do. And then, so that's not mentioned in here. There is one mentioned in here that which is kind of ironic, and I want to read it.
You want to point out one other thing on there, Ray, before you lose that?
What's that?
The Stop and Shop area.
Oh, yeah. This is Stop and Shop, so you can see clearly it's in our district. That whole, well, yeah, I got it upside down. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the Stop and Shop. So it's pretty clear cut to me. But anyway, that's another issue.
That's the.
But I want to read you this thing, which I think has been ignored by almost everybody. But I was reading it, I was totally shocked that they would put it in here and then kind of poo-poo the whole thing. And when the application from Kensington to Worthington becomes a little bit more critical because let's see where it is. Oh, here it is. One of the sections deals with the issue of fire protection. And WSC, Weston and Sampson, basically the engineering company that did this. Resilient Land and Water is a subgroup of Weston and Sampson, but they actually did the performance, but under the name of Weston and Sampson. Concluded that normal peak and typical fire flow demands could be met through the Baxter Avenue interconnection. However, and this is kind of an interesting however, significant fire flow demands such as a National Fire Protection Agency fire flow of WFD of 3,500 gallons per minute, which could be needed for significant sites as the high school or movie theater, may result in portions of the distribution system with substandard pressure during a fire. WSC recommended pressure sustaining valves be installed at 2 or more existing interconnection locations with BWCC with automatically opening up in response to the emergency. In other words, they still need our water. And in other words, they also need to make additional modifications in order to get that water, which to me is, as we all know, they have a track record which they haven't done anything with. And that's perplexing to me, and that's a really significant issue. And it's all unnecessary. As I can figure it out, I don't get it. Basically, it's one individual's response to this whole issue, and he's creating a problem for the entire town, in my mind's eye.
And how much is it going to cost to put in? Is it 1,200 feet of pipe?
Oh, I don't know about that.
They have to put in.
They want to put in a duplicate line, which that's probably a couple
It's a
million.
12-inch line on Farmington.
Now,
Well,
is this whole diversion project that they're doing, is it more economically in their favor to
Well,
end up doing it?
Well, they,
Why is it that they're doing it?
the theory here is that they can buy water from New Britain cheaper. Kensington will sell it for 50 cents to 100, under 100 cubic feet, so that they make out some money because they're transferring it. And then instead of our $4.67 or $4.80 now per 100 cubic feet, they would be getting it at $3.55 or something like that. So there's, but there's no way, because Norton Road here supplies 2/3 of your entire flow into that distribution system. I can't see this particular site, it hasn't been open since 1992, to basically be able to provide the fire protection and also the potable supply that they need. They already have conditions, when I tell them every quarter, when I read the reports to me, you got stagnant conditions in some of the meter pits that you have, because they're actually giving us water back instead of us getting water. So there's something wrong with those locations.
also that line coming up Norton Road there, isn't that the one coming off the Chamberlain Highway?
No, well, no, not really.
It's
I
not
mean,
the main, they're in.
They're all interconnected, but not directly off the Chamberlain. It comes off of Kensington.
And heads down Norton to Chamberlain.
It heads right down to now, the rationale, so this is the other point I want to raise, because it's sort of a practice for me, because when I talk about this issue with one of the things I need to point out to is that the Norton Road connection was made because of us, because they determined that they found Legionella at the high school. And when we found Legionella at the high school, there was no chlorine residual. There's no chlorine residual at Willard School. So the thought was, if we get more flow into the system, we would have higher residuals than we do. Willard has now, the high school. If we go back to the same Baxter Avenue meter, then they're going to have residuals back there again. That's going to be a problem. It's going to go back to the same thing. So
Well,
we're
the whole
going back
system
to
on
the
that-
same old.
The whole bottom line down through there is gonna be that condition. There's nothing flowing from Norton Road.
Well, that's the theory that they want to do. They want to shut down all the meter pits. They want to shut down all the valves, and then try them out little at a time whenever they want. Well, I don't want to be an experiment, and that's really what they're doing. Is experimenting with the town.
Now they're gonna be putting in another line in. They're going right down Farmington Avenue.
That's something that they're considering. It's not something that they're doing. You have to remember, what they're suggesting and what they're actually doing are two different things.
But let's just, if they need the water,
Let's say, for instance, a diversion permit is given to them. The health department, the DEP, nor us can put any onus on them to do anything. To put in a meter pit, to put in a thing, to open it, close it, to do anything. There's no way we can control any of that. It's gone. Once they give them a diversion permit, it's out of their
Who
hands.
is it that gives them?
DEP.
So they're the ones that you're gonna go to.
This is the argument I'm making to DEP. Now, this is another thing I have to point out to you, that in my whole career, I have never heard of anybody asking for a rejection on the diversion permit.
right, they had no reason to.
Exactly. But we're probably the most unique condition here, because the increase in the diversion permit creates a problem for us. If it didn't create a problem for us, I could care less. They can get water over in the corner and they can use it whatever they want to do. But the fact that they're right in the middle of our distribution system, I can't get away from that. And they can't get away without operating that system without impacting us. And that's a problem. And that's what I see is, it's not only a public health, but it's a public safety, because neither
They're
one
not
of them
gonna have the hydrants.
have a sufficient supply. And ISO previously indicated to them that they had several hydrants that they had problems with. And we know at Christian Lane, for instance, as an example, Kensington, when that building blew up, they couldn't turn on the two hydrants in front of them. They were filling up a tanker truck at the highway department to fill it up, because in case there was a fire. But the two hydrants in front of the blow up weren't functional. And I bet you to this day they're not functional. Anyway, I wanted to bring it up the issue of that, and of course the second part of that is the sale of excess permit. It's a kind of a unique condition. I always thought one was banked on the other, but apparently the health department also has to. And I've got a letter that went to the commissioner of health saying, please don't take an action on this. And I guess she's doing it by de facto because they just so bogged down with everything. But the reality is they haven't looked at that because this is going to be substantially impacted. So I'm going to have to do something similar to the Department of Public Health, and their situation is a little bit different. I don't know if there's a public hearing there. I'd have to try to see if I can petition and get comments somehow or another. So those are the items 4.1 to 4.2. I mean, there's a lot. We're not going to put all the details that I have in here, but I wanted to be sure that you gentlemen knew exactly what was going on. It's kind of a complicated condition.
Now, you guys understand why they never turn these permits down, right?
Well, there's no precedent for being.
Well, if a city
reject-
needs more water, why should they hold up the water? You know, this is the unique situation. There's 15 different connections that make their system work right now.
The irony here is that I don't particularly like the way the DEP put the process together too, because here's the other thing is that when they say when they say that they're going to be issuing the permit, they specifically say that it has to be issued because it's determined as being necessary. Well, I don't think it's necessary. It says pursuant to 22A 371, which is the regulations for the diversion permit. The department has found that the application's completeness is determined that the proposed diversion, 1, is necessary, 2, will not significantly affect long-range water resources management, and 3, will not impair proper management use of water resources of the state. Well, I think all three of them are wrong. I mean, I don't think that they've proven any of those things. That
We know they don't properly manage.
well, that's the whole point.
But we have excess water. New Britain's got excess water, and they're in the middle of our system.
And it sounds like they're cutting off all these outside
Yeah,
areas and only taking flow in one direction. Is that right?
exactly,
We're gonna wind
exactly.
up with
And then
very sick
this is
people.
what bothers me more and more so because in the sale of excess water, which DEP doesn't know anything about, it says how I'm going to implement this. What they're going to do is this. Think about this. They're going to take the meters, and I don't know which ones. They're going to, for the first month, they're going to turn it down to 25%. Second month, 50%. Third month, 75%. Fourth month, they're going to decide what meter that they should turn on and not turn. I'm going to sit here and watch them manipulate the distribution system and not say anything.
Hold on. Do we have the right to say, look, you guys want to do this experiment? This is your thing.
No, it's not your thing. It would be your
Why do
thing
we
if
have
you were if you were outside of my distribution system. You're
Why
in the
do we gotta
middle
get
of our
involved?
distribution system.
I
It's not their thing. It's our thing.
Yeah, but we're not the one guaranteeing their water.
Yes, we are. We're guaranteeing you the water now because we were given a sale of excess water from the Department of Public Health to serve them originally. There's no need, and I don't see any necessity.
Can we shut the valves off and say, you guys, you run your experiment the way you want?
No, because they're going to impact us. This is the point I'm raising with it,
Okay.
is that when you do something there, you're impacting us.
Oh, no
Even if
question.
you shut off a meter, then you become a dead end.
Oh,
Do we want a dead end? No, we don't want a dead end.
Hold on.
See, this is the problem. If they were at the end of our system and there was only one line going in there and they were not
Oh,
impacting me, I'd say, go do whatever you'd like to do, any way you want to do it. But now that you're in the middle of our distribution system and you're going to play Russian roulette in terms of what meter is going to go on and what pressure gradient, and then you still don't have enough water to fight a fire that you need us for, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Holy
Where's the
totally.
economics here?
How are
It's
these
gonna be-
engineers recommending this?
I don't know.
Who's going to ultimately be responsible for this? Because I sure as hell don't want to be.
Well, you're going to be there. My point is that I have to make it very clear to Deep. I think, the attorney might make me change my mind, is basically saying that, okay, if you approve this, then you're culpable. If there's a fire, if there's a problem, we have to go back to DEEP and say, we warned you about this, and if you gave them the permit, you're responsible for it as much as they are.
They already
Period.
have a problem right now.
I understand, but I'm trying to tell you
Yeah, I
that
understand.
the
It's
story
putting them
is,
on notice.
if they go ahead and issue it and they ignore what I'm saying, and they don't, or they can't, for instance, change it, which I don't
And we're
understand
gonna
that.
follow this up with a pretty
Yeah.
strong letter. If this gets-
Well, it's more than a strong letter. I think we should start legal action on that, because frankly,
It puts us in a no-win
I've never
situation.
heard of a condition like this.
Wow.
To be very frank with you. I've never heard of a condition, and I've never heard of anybody who wants to screw the town more so, because that's what's happening.
Oh.
This is not something that's not going to
It's
impact.
the public that's paying for this.
Well, it's us that's paying for it,
The
because
safety of the
the
public.
public is going to look back to the town and say, town, you're responsible for this.
Right, and we have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, well, this is the reason I have to raise it up, because the thing is, I could have ignored it, they would have approved it.
Oh, I no doubt.
It was already in the paper for approval. And the petition only slows it down, because now they have to address our petition. But the funny thing about the petition is that we have to show that there's also responsibility. The petitioner has to show that there's an influence of what's going to happen to us. I'm hoping that's what they're going to do, is once they recognize that it is.
Can't even do their hydrants now, let alone, now we're gonna.
That's what makes me
It says
sick.
it in the report.
That's what makes me sick about this whole thing, is it's unnecessary work. It's unrealistic. It's crazy. But if it goes through for some reason or other, we're going to be tough shape.
Ray, have you had discussion with anybody in town with this, like the mayor or the town manager?
The town manager's going to be on the petition, on the meeting with me on Monday the 3rd.
Yeah, but is he aware of what you're
Yeah,
telling us?
I think they're pretty much aware. We haven't gotten into the discussion, Sebi, but when we were in executive session, we talked about this a little bit. So, I mean, I have much more detail now than I did before, because I didn't even have the applications before. So when I started reading them, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, it is what it is.
Maybe a quick update to them would help.
Well, I don't think that's going to help us anyway, because I have to go through the process. So basically, and then this is the other problem with it. It's a new process. DEP doesn't really know how to handle it, because the new regulation requires a different scenario. The whole scenario originally was to have a petition for a hearing. What they're trying to do is avoid a hearing. Which is okay with me if they decide that they take the information I got, recognize that it's a problem. I can care less if they go through a hearing problem. I just want them to reject it, period.
All right, so 4.3, main break.
4.3. Okay, this is just an FYI to everyone. We had a main break, which is interesting to me, because again, this is the East Berlin section. It started out what we thought was a very small issue, because it's right around the post office on Grove Street. And I was out there looking at it, and Jim and I were around there one night to take a look at it. Very small leak. We thought not a problem. When they went back to look at it, it started opening up. They realized that what happened is whoever worked on this project before and fixed it created another problem, because they took the backhoe and scraped the entire top. And that's where the thing, and so we had to remove 7 feet of that pipe, because the backhoe just scraped the top of it, and they corroded it, and they just buried it. So we got places like that, unfortunately. There's these cast iron pipes. Of course, we saw it and I brought it up at the town council meeting. Again, it's the same thing. It's the pipe's still up there. It's corroded. A 6-inch pipe basically is 4 inches. I mean, that's how bad it is. So we know East Berlin is problematic, and that's certainly something we have to address.
Well, 2 years from now.
So that's the point. Berlin Pump Station, I think we brought this up once before. The grinders there, we finally got the grinders fixed. REM there over at Have you done any work with them in New Haven? Reliable electric motors or something they call it. Anyway, they finally got the parts from Canada, and so they fixed the grinder. The grinder's still a problem, and the grinder still kind of rips up everything, and it forms like a rat's tail, and it's not the appropriate item there for them. So it definitely is one of those things where we're going to have to look at rebuilding that pump station with something different, because that grinding process does not work. We can't afford to buy grinders every couple of years either, too. That doesn't seem to be.
So what about putting a mesh chain in front of it and having a conveyor belt system?
That's what they're looking into, but it's going to be required a big modification. Yeah, so
So this is what we're looking at.
There's a lot of little
station.
things that have to go in
What kind
addition.
of grinders are
They're what do they call them? Hog or something or other. They're out of GET out of Canada. Russell Resources buys them out of there. Bought them from Russell Resources
These,
out of Maine.
these grinders grind the stuff that I think it
Yes,
grinds.
they do. They do.
Everything.
I see.
They kind of weave
Yeah,
weave a textile thing there too. That's not a pretty sight, because we had it about 4 years ago. We had one that was so long; it was over 30 feet long. Going back into the line, we had to shut the pump station and bypass it, rip it out. It cost us $30,000 to fix that. That was immensely expensive, because the bypass on top of
all
that.
those
you had to
little
get all-
6-inch
and then this pump station is around 40 feet deep, so it's not pure, on the surface back there. So I can't see what's going to happen when those homeowners move in over there and they get a whiff of that odor. Anyway,
we'll be dealing with it.
that's 4.4. Now, townwide study. Unfortunately, this just keeps getting moved back. I sent an email off this morning to Jim Erickson, who's from Haley Ward. This is what he replied back to me. We should have a draft report available by the end of December 2025.
Whoa,
Jeez.
Yeah.
that's just a draft.
As we discussed, we have the opportunity for the fire districts to comment on the draft CIPs, which is the construction work in progress. Capital improvement plans. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. And have not received a reply, which is not a surprise. They were supposed to reply in the middle of September. What is it now? Almost November. We still got nothing. We will proceed with the finishing engineering portions of the documents. When the engineering is near completion, I will share these items with Dave Fox with Tillis for his firm to do the rate impact portion of the study. Although I cannot speak to the schedule and deadlines, I will pass on to him our desire to get this completed by year. Sorry for the delay, but there's not much we can do about it. It is what it is. Fortunately, I don't like the timing of it.
How long has it been now? A year plus?
A year and almost half. Yeah, year and a half.
Is
Well, you have to remember who you're dealing with. You're not getting much information. It took us nearly 7 months to get something out of FOI, both districts. So that was another problem. We could get the money to do the project, but we couldn't get the information to actually work on the project. So that's
We had the same problem when we did our studies.
Yeah, you know that. It's like pulling teeth with these people, and that's part of the other problem. And we'll have to sort of talk about in our executive session what we got going to see if we can.
Okay.
So that's that. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Meriden 2 is still a problem. Gentleman there is overwhelmed. Nice guy. The manager left. He was originally from upstate New York, Glen Falls. He got a job back at Glen Falls. I certainly don't fault him for that. He's got a job where he lives, so he loves that. Poor guy was putting out time out because he had a son-in-law in not Morris, Monroe, and a daughter over in Richfield. And during the week, he would stay at one of the homes, and then at the weekend, he would go up to Glen Falls every week for a whole year. So I could feel for him. It's a real issue. However, the gentleman that's left, Robert Peters, basically, he's overwhelmed, and we still need some information to go forward with this.
We had it approved from the last manager.
There is one positive. We had a chance to speak to Kevin Delaney, our finance officer. This is something I like. we're tied into a DWSRF loan, the Drinking Water State revolving loan program with the health department. And the anticipated cost is around 1.6, and we're looking maybe at $400,000 or $500,000 for the tank to do the internal corrosion of that. So roughly in the vicinity of 2.2 million, something in that range. We have about $4.4 million in cash in the water program, and $3.4 million in cash in the sewer program. So effectively, he's saying we may not need to take the loan out. We might just want to pay for it directly and cut to the chase and get it done that way, which would then eliminate a lot of bureaucracy from our perspective.
Absolutely.
It would get it done and it would be paid for.
We might
So,
even get it done cheaper.
so we wouldn't have any additional prorated costs.
Cash. Yeah.
So we're doing pretty well. So from that perspective, to do that, and of course, NBC still owes us almost about $1 million to repay Dynamic Road. So that's coming back. So we're not going to be able to pay for Berlin Pump Station for sure, because that price tag is going up from $5 million to close to $9 million. So there's no way we can do that. And then Adam 4.7, I think you have to add on is the vote for the schedule.
Make it a motion. 4.7 for the schedule for our meetings. Motion. And a second.
A second.
First and second, any discussion? So moved. Any discussion? So we're not, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that's to put it on the agenda. Now you got to vote for the approval of the schedule. Correct.
Oh. So can I get a motion about the schedule? Got a motion, got a second?
I'll second it.
Got a first and second on the motion. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye.
So it's pretty clear cut. So the schedule is as it is. Now, I guess we could go to an executive session and leave Sebi and Jim. You're still on there? Oh.
He's watching the games.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. We can go to executive session, but we don't have to record. You and only Sebi are on there. So as far as we're concerned, I guess we can do that without compromising the information. Are you good with it?